So CreepShow Art dropped a 2.5-hour movie about Emily Artful and how she lied to her and how she lied to everybody over the past couple months with the whole drama that went down. This video was the biggest waste of my time that I have ever seen in a good while on my time on YouTube. Now my video probably won't end up being that long, and I'll just say it right here. A good 2 hours of the 2.5-hour runtime is just CreepShow Art basically just trying to, I don't know if slander is the word I'm looking for, but she's bringing up old things that Emily did when she was young and trying to say, oh, she did these back then, so she's still evil and she's still a liar like she was back then. It doesn't take anyone with a brain to understand that, believe it or not, people change as they grow older. I know, super fucking shocking. I remember when I was in high school, I was a bit of a more asshole than I am now, because you know what? I decided, hey, I should be a little bit nicer than how I was in high school. And apparently to CreepShow Art, that still means no matter what you did at any point in time in your life, you're still the same exact person. Which is quite ironic to point out, because that means CreepShow Art will never change her ways. So all those posts you saw leaked from Locale a couple months ago, she still stands by those. And she knows that if anybody uses this against her in the future, she can't use the I change card, because then people are just going to bring up this video of her showing posts dating all the way back to 2006 and how Emily never changed. There's a portion of the video dedicated to where on Emily's old YouTube channel where she did anime reviews, there's this one time she reviewed One Piece in the bathtub, and there are a bunch of YouTube videos of people talking about this to prove that it existed.
On the Sugarfruit channel, Emily ended up doing a couple of controversial things, like posting an anime review naked in a bathtub. Emily states now in 2021 that she was high on heroin when she did this, but as established, that cannot be true. The video of her in a bathtub caused a lot of anger in the community because the YouTube anime community is filled with mostly men who saw Emily doing that as a cheap way to get subscribers and attention.
But anyways, it wasn't. It was a One Piece episode review from a girl, and I'm like, well, it's a female One Piece fan. Maybe someone cool like Zoe Redley. I thought she was cool when she was doing it. Click the video, and the bitch is in a bathtub naked. And I'm not even gonna tell you who it is. For one, I don't know who it is. I didn't even look up the YouTube name. And two, it doesn't help by promoting that shit because it just only substantiates the problem I'm having.
But the reason for this to be brought up doesn't make much sense other than to prove Emily had another YouTube channel to begin with, and there was a little controversy that was around during the channel. All I can think of is it's just CreepShow Art just trying to make Emily look bad. That's all I could get from this. Like, yeah, it's weird to review anime in a bathtub, I'll admit to that. But what does this have to do with the overall picture of Emily being the liar and the manipulator ever since she was like a child? Not much. It's just a really bad YouTube video made in poor taste, and unfortunately for Emily, it pushed her out of the anime community, and for whatever reason, CreepShow Art is using it as a way to prove how she's a bad person. There's one part of the video dedicated to proving that Amy, that creepy stalker that everybody knows about by now, existed.
This part is going to be brief, but Amy is not a reference to Emily. Amy is the girl who used to harass me online, who I originally met on Stardoll.com when I was in middle school. As I say in the video, but Amy did not grow up in San Jose with me. We never knew each other personally, and she was someone I strictly knew online who lived states away from me. Emily tried to state in her video that that video is secretly about her, that I was setting a backstory up to one day say that Emily was actually Amy, and by simply calling her Amy, I was referencing her because according to her, I was trying to lay breadcrumbs online to paint her as a malicious stalker.
Isn't that a coinky dink? That right there is the most passive-aggressive shit I have ever read, and is also one of the many breadcrumbs that she started leaving behind that she had a quote-unquote stalker named Amy. I think it's funny that she picked the name Amy. I think she deliberately picked a name that was very close to mine so that if I ever came out with allegations, she could be like, see, I even chose Amy because it sounds like Emily. And of course, she picked all the things that she did to me, so then I couldn't even come out if I wanted to, because then it would seem like I was copying her instead of her copying me.
That is not the case, and it's also very stupid. The video I put up, which is still up, has various details that do not match with Emily. It would make no sense for me to say that Emily and I were friends online ever, seeing as we never knew each other outside of her being a friend of some friends and one of my ex-boyfriend's exes before I even had a crush on him. Me stating that she grew up states away from me also does not align with her being Emily, seeing as Emily went to school in California and I know people who know her. It would make no sense for that video to be about her.
In order to prove my case, here are the cringy emails that Amy and I sent to each other in middle school.
But the emails that CreepShow Art shows are from 2006, and okay, let's assume that this Amy person existed, that this was a real person that CreepShow Art was talking to. Who's to say she just didn't use Amy's name and start stalking everybody under it? It's not that hard to go a little further, and CreepShow Art doesn't go any further other than just showing a couple emails way back from when she was in middle school talking to Amy. Now, if she were to show screenshots from, let's say, 2015, 2016, 17, showing that this Amy person was stalking herself, then CreepShow Art would have something to go off of. But she doesn't, because these screenshots are older than some of the people watching this video and keeping up with the drama right now. And speaking of bringing up old stuff, there are posts from 10 years ago on Twitter of Emily saying a lot of bad things about other women. But as I said earlier, Emily has said herself she has changed. She has tried to change the way she acted back then because she knows it'll make her a better person. So all of these posts are just attack on Emily's character. That's all it is. There's nothing to these other than just trying to make Emily look worse than CreepShow Art. It's so mind-blowing that she even thought these were good, valid arguments to put in this video to begin with. So right now, I'm at the 1 hour, 35 minute mark when part 14 of the video comes up, and that's when everything goes to hell. The first hour and a half, okay, it's basically just attacking Emily's character, whatever. Who cares? People attack each other on the internet all the time. This isn't nothing new. But then, CreepShow Art thinks it's a good idea to bring up a DeviantArt page dating all the way back to 2005. 16, almost 17 years ago, from Emily when she was in middle school, when she would obsess over her teacher because she was in love with him and had a crush on him. CreepShow Art tries to spin this as, because Emily acted this way as a child, a 13-year-old child, she is the same way today, still an asshole and whatnot. If this isn't grasping for straws, I don't know what is. I don't have to go that in depth on why this is just complete horseshit. For those of y'all that were kids before, you've probably obsessed over some really cringy shit, especially when you're in middle school, just going through puberty. We've all done cringy things as children that could be seen as very creepy if we were to do it as adults. CreepShow Art tries to paint it as, because she did this as a child with a developing brain that was just a little over halfway developed, therefore she's still the same person that she is today. Dude, when I got to this point of the video, I shouldn't have kept watching it, honestly, but oh my god, I'm trying to get my point across and it just sounds like complete ass. As you already know, as we grew up, we learned that this stuff is creepy. Emily knows what she did was creepy, and the fact that CreepShow Art is bringing up stuff that a child did is just insane. Now, around the tail end of the video, there's a part where CreepShow Art starts to talk about how Emily lied to everybody about being a model, how she wasn't ever signed to a real agency or whatever. Now, this is quite simple to put it. When you're somebody, young or old, going for a passion to make themselves feel better and to brand themselves better, they say what they are going for. For example, somebody could just start making music, let's say 1 month ago. They're gonna call themselves a musician because it sounds good to their brand. They like to make themselves feel better about themselves, and other people will think of them as a musician rather than just this random guy making some stupid song on YouTube for only, I don't know, 10 people to watch. The same thing can be applied to me. I could call myself a YouTuber and only have, in my case, 20k subs, whereas somebody smaller than me might also call themselves a YouTuber. Now, personally, I don't say I'm a YouTuber just because I don't feel I'm ready, but that's another discussion entirely. But the idea of people branding themselves correctly and saying what they want to be in order to push their goals further, to convince themselves, make themselves feel better, is nothing we haven't seen before. And the fact that CreepShow Art is using this as some sort of proof that Emily is lying to everybody, she knows what she's doing. It's just so stupid to see that she actually added this to the video and thought to herself that this would be good evidence to show why Emily is such a liar. The rest of the video, CreepShow Art tries to pity people to her side, saying a bunch of sad stuff. She talks about this one other dude that she didn't like, who was like trashing her on Twitter when everything went down. And then she talks about Tipster for a bit, how he was a nice person. Dude, she basically just says how his content sucks, how he should change himself to like secondhand news because his content's lazy, blah blah.
I said I would address Tipster, so this is for him. Tipster said that if I was able to prove that I didn't do what I was being accused of, that he would apologize to me. And to that, I say, fuck you. You disgusting person. You maliciously attacked my husband because you yourself couldn't scroll down far enough on Emily's Instagram and find the multiple posts that debunk her story that are still live. You're a journalist, but you just couldn't do that. There is a reason your content gets fewer and fewer views than everyone else in the YouTube commentary community, and you keep being beat out by everyone else. And that's because it's terrible, lazy, and reductive. You should rename your channel Secondhand News, because you can't be fucked to actually research anything before you open your ugly mouth. You watch someone else's video and you say what they said worse than they said it. You aren't a reporter, you're not a journalist, you're a joke. Just know that you are a terrible person, and you can take that forgiveness and just fuck it. Just fuck that forgiveness right off. You are just as bad as Emily, if not worse, for supporting a mob with no evidence while claiming to do all this research and claiming to care about your friends or anything. I talked to you so many times, and you once cried on stream saying if Shannon was in trouble, she would tell me not to defend her because she's a good person. And when I told you not to do that, you were like, well, that's fine, she's guilty. Even though there's evidence to say I'm not, and no evidence to say I am.
I don't even know anymore. Like, she completely goes off the rails. She's trying to build an argument for herself, and then just starts talking shit about everybody and trying to pity everybody to her side when the entire video does nothing but prove Emily's point. Emily showed everybody that CreepShow Art was harassing and stalking her for years, and you know what CreepShow Art does in response? Pulls up shit from 16 years ago to prove how Emily is such a bad person, therefore reinforcing Emily's main point to begin with on how she's a stalker. Because let's face it, if you're pulling up shit that people posted when they were a child, that's some damn stalkerish behavior right there. Now I know I normally make these videos, I try to put a lot of detail, a lot of effort into them, but frankly I don't care about this situation anymore. It's been dead for months now. CreepShow Art's career is over. She has no more friends on YouTube, nobody trusts her on the internet anymore. There was no point in making this video other than just to get the last word at the very end of the year. And you know what? This video wasn't an accident either, because Emily Artful's Brandon posted his own video basically just saying Emily is bad, blah 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 blah, she's weird, he doesn't give no proof to his saying. I don't even gotta go over that video, just look at the screenshot, I put it on screen right now. This was a waste of everybody's time, and I hope you guys don't spend your time watching this video, because you're just gonna get pissed off about old drama again, because that's what she wants to do. CreepShow Art just wants attention to herself. No matter how self-destructive and how much it makes the other person look better, she will do anything she can to get that attention to herself and get that last bit of sweet ad revenue. I'm done with this video. I thank you for watching this, and if you do want to go watch CreepShow Art's video, be ready. I suggest watching it in parts instead of a full 2 hour and 30 minutes like I did, because you're just gonna get really pissed off like I am.